I sit with the light low and steady. The lamp casts an amber pool on the pages. My voice is soft. My breath moves slow and even. I invite you to let your shoulders drop. Let your hands rest. Feel the weight of the day leave your limbs. A quiet enters the room. It settles around us like a warm blanket. I open the Gospel of John. I do not hurry. I do not race through words. I read so each phrase can land. I read so each image can breathe. The book feels calm in my hands. The paper has a small rustle as I turn it. That sound is a kind of simple music. It joins the slow rhythm of our breathing. I guide you to a gentle posture. You can lie back on your bed. You can sit in a chair. You can cradle a small pillow. Find what steadies you. I ask that you let your eyes close, if that is easy. If they stay open, let them soften. Let the room fade at the edges. We begin with a still focus. I name the good things we seek together. Comfort, peace, rest, a quiet hope that steadies the heart. I do not offer answers. I offer presence. I do not press for belief. I invite trust. The Gospel of John speaks in images that soothe. It invites the small, steady light back into the corners where worry lingers. It lifts up mercy without argument. It brings assurance without force. I speak slowly. I pause between phrases. Each pause is an invitation to listen. Each breath helps the words settle. The gospel shows a gentle way of being. It rests on the promise of care. It names a light that stays with us. It is a companion for the evening. It is a lamp for weary feet. As I read, I keep the pace steady. I let every sentence have room. I let the story unfold like a slow walk down a quiet lane. The images come out calm and clear. A voice speaks about life. Another image shows light in darkness. A presence comes near. Not to disturb, but to stay. Each image echoes mercy. I describe what I see in the text. I do not debate. I simply unfold what those words mean for tired hearts. I speak of a presence that knows sorrow. I speak of patience that holds silence. I speak of steadiness that does not demand. These are small promises sown into the gospel. They rest like seeds, ready to grow in quiet soil. I remind you that the evening can be a gentle teacher. It asks nothing of us but to rest. It reminds us of endings and beginnings. Night draws a curtain. The curtain does not hide everything. It lets stars appear. The gospel does the same. It lets a deeper light show through the dark. That light is not loud. It does not push. It simply is. I hold the theme of mercy in my voice. Mercy arrives like soft rain. It does not wash away all questions at once. It soaks into the ground. It makes room for new green. When doubt or regret sits heavy, mercy offers a small, steady hand. When fear whispers, mercy answers with quiet presence. The gospel asks us to receive that hand. Slowly, without hurry, I coax the body to follow the mind. I speak about breath. Breathe in softly. Breathe out long. Let each outward breath be longer than the inward. With every out-breath, Imagine the day loosening its grip. With every in-breath, imagine a small, clear light filling the chest. The breath and the story come together. The words become part of the rhythm. I am careful with language. I use sampler pictures. Light, water, bread, rest. Each image is familiar and calm. Light suggests warmth without heat. Water offers refreshment without splashing. Bread speaks of steady sustenance. Rest arrives as a gentle settling, not a sudden fall. These images sit quietly, like stones in a shallow stream. The water flows around them and keeps still. I invite a short moment of reflection. No heavy thought, no analysis, just a quiet check. Notice one place of tension in the body, perhaps the shoulders, perhaps the jaw. Breathe into that place. Send ease there, like a soft hand. Imagine the presence of kind light resting on that spot. See it soften the edges. I keep the words gentle. I do not lecture. I do not correct. I tell small truths that hold. The gospel speaks of belonging. It assures that I am not alone in the night. The promise is not grand or loud. It is simple. It settles like warm tea in a cold cup. It calms the edges of fear. I remind you of small mercies in the day. A quiet smile from a stranger. A cup of warmth shared. A tiny moment when the heart eased. These are small threads. They weave into a larger fabric. The gospel places these threads in a pattern of care. It shows that the small mercies have weight. I describe the characters and scenes slowly. John's words paint a quiet portrait of presence. The word is described as near at the beginning. The presence brings life and light. That life reaches out to the world that often feels dim. The stories are not dramatic in the way of storms. They are steady. They come like dawn after a long night. I say that the evening is a good time for such meditation. Night hushes the clamor. It softens ambition. It chiedemo. In that hush, mercy can be felt. In that hush, hope can lean in, easy and light. These are not grand claims. They are small, faithful truths that soothe the mind. I keep the tempo slow during the reading. Each sentence is a breath. Each image is a place to rest. When I paraphrase the text, I choose the calmest words. The eternal word is described as a steady presence. Life and light are offered without urgency. The story invites a slow acceptance. It asks for an open heart more than a racing mind. I let silence come at intervals. Silence is part of the reading. It is a space where the words do their work. It is not empty. It is full of quiet weight. In the silence, the images settle. They find new corners in the heart. The silence feels like cool shade after a hot walk. I encourage you to name a single worry. Softly. In your mind, do not hold it tight. Offer it to the presence the gospel points toward. Imagine placing that worry on a small boat. See the boat float away. I do not promise all worries vanish. I promise that they do not have to be carried alone. The presence takes part of the load. That alone can make the load lighter. I speak of hope without pressing it. Hope can be small. It can be a single spark. It can be a lamp on a porch. It does not need to be a bright blaze. Even a tiny spark changes the dark. The gospel offers just such a spark. It stays with us when night grows near. I reflect on mercy as a steady hand, not a sudden fix. Mercy walks beside us. It listens more than it lectures. It knows the ache of tired bones. It sings the soft songs of comfort. In the gospel, mercy sometimes looks like simple touch. It sometimes comes as a word that rests. These gestures are small. They are enough. I suggest gentle prayer without formality. You can ask for rest. You can whisper a single word like peace. You can breathe a name. The prayer does not need to be long. A short, steady breath of asking is enough. The act is simple. The presence hears. I speak of the night as a teacher of trust. Darkness teaches surrender. It shows the limits of our control. The gospel turns this toward a gentle reliance. Trust is not blind. It is a quiet decision to rest in a presence that cares. It grows slowly. It begins in small acts of letting go. I remind you that mercy and hope often arrive in small measures. They seed the heart, overziehen. They change the soil. That change does not happen all at once. It grows like grass after rain. The steady reading of the gospel is like the rain. It returns night after night, little by little. New green appears. I keep the language inviting. I avoid heavy words. I choose phrases that sit easy in the ear. Each line is meant for listening. Each sentence is a soft step along a familiar path. The path is not complex. It is a way toward rest. I guide the mind back to the body when it strays. Notice the feet. Feel the contact with the bed or floor. Notice the hands. Notice the chest rising and falling. The present moment is the place mercy meets us. The gospel often points to the present. It offers presence to the worn and the watchful. I read now a gentle paraphrase of a beginning passage. It says that the presence was there from the start. It brought life. It held the world in a quiet promise. That presence made a light that never truly goes out. Even when shadows fall, the light still rests nearby. The light welcomes the weary. It gives a steady place to rest. I speak about the bread of steady care. The image is simple. Bread is daily. It sustains without show. The gospel uses such small things to show the depth of mercy. The steady bread does not overwhelm. It nourishes slowly. It becomes strength for the next step. I invite a final moment of breathing together. Breathe in quiet. Breathe out release. Feel a sense of being held. Feel the promise of a gentle presence near. The reading tonight is an offering. It is not a list of commands. It is a quiet companion for the hours before sleep. I close this segment with a soft statement of intent. I will continue with another section soon. The next part will bring more images. It will keep the same calm pace. For now, let the heart rest in the small light we have shared. Let the breath even out. Let the mind slow its questions. I stay here a while, in the quiet. My hand rests on the book. The room holds the silence. The lamp breathes a gentle glow. You can remain awake or drift. Either way, the presence we read about stays near. It holds mercy like a steady hand. It offers hope like a simple lamp on a path. When you are ready, allow sleep to come. If you stay awake, let this calm repeat in the chest. Return to it in the night. The words and images will come back as soft reminders. They aim to keep the heart calm and steady. I keep my voice low as I close. The evening reading ends here. For now, a quête promise lingers. You are not alone. The presence walks beside you. Rest in that truth. Let the night do its gentle work. I ask you to imagine a world where light comes first. The beginning is quiet. A presence waits at the edge of waking. It does not rush. It does not shout. It arrives like a hand set gently on a shoulder. At the start, there is a presence that holds things together. It is near. It is steady. It gives life in a way that feels like warmth gathering in the chest. This life does not announce itself with fanfare. It appears as a soft glow. The glow finds the small corners where worry hides. It rests there like a soft cloth. I tell the story slowly. The text I read sketches a simple scene. Before time takes shape, before the day's long list appears, a presence is already there. That presence is close, in a quiet way, close enough to feel. It brings life. Life shows up as light. Light that fills the dark spaces. One small space at a time. Imagine dawn in a quiet town. The first pale edge of day reaches the window. It slips under curtains. It slides along the sill. It touches the plants. The plants lift a little. That is how the presence moves. It finds the places that seem asleep and wakes them gently. The waking is not sudden. It is a slow, deliberate easing. I move my voice slow so you can follow. Breathe with me. Inhale softly. Let the chest rise like a small tide. Hold for a gentleness. Exhale long. Let the breath carry out any tightness. With each cycle, picture a small light growing inside. It pools where tension sits. It warms the shoulders. It uncurls the jaw. The breath and the light work together. The light is honest in its simplicity. It does not pretend to fix everything in a moment. It stays put. It keeps steady. Even when shadows gather, the light remains. It does not vanish at the first heavy thought. It holds ground like a lamp left in a quiet room. The dark may hover at the edges, but it does not swallow the glow. This presence is close, without being demanding. It waits. Patient. It does not require proof. It offers a kind of belonging that is soft. When the mind is loud, the light sits at the edges and hums a slow tune. When the heart is prickly, the light leans in with a quiet that soothes. That is the shape of mercy in these words. Mercy arrives in a hush and stays. I describe the light as a living thing. It seems to breathe with us. It moves into small, worn places, a tired hand, a weary foot, a mind that keeps replaying the day. The presence does not erase memory. It makes room for it. It holds a place at the table where sorrow can sit and be heard. This presence is close enough to touch. It does not judge. It simply accompanies. Consider the little details the light brings out. Dust motes in air that look like tiny drifting stars. the grain of wood on an old chair, a letter folded and waiting by the lamp. The light shows things as they are. It gives simple clarity. Seeing things in that quiet way can be a relief. It takes the sharpness off worry. It softens edges. I invite you now to picture a small lamp on a porch. A person walks there at night. They are not grand. They are ordinary. The lamp burns steadily. The light wraps a narrow circle around the path. The world outside that circle remains dim. That is enough. The lamp meets each footstep. It gives a firm, kind presence to every small action. This is the kind of light the text points to. The reading says that this light shines in darkness. The darkness does not extinguish it. It might press close. It might try to smother. Still, the light keeps on. That continuing is its quiet power. It is not in the dramatic flash. It is in the persistence. The presence chooses to remain, even when staying feels small. I speak in simple images because simple images rest easier in the ear. A single candle on a bedside table can change the feel of a room. It makes the angles soften. It tells the mind that this place is safe enough to breathe. The gospel uses such small signs. The grand things hide in simple acts. The beginning moment is like that. Something small and lasting is given, so that larger fears can rest. There is a tenderness in the way the presence meets the world. It gives life like a slow opening. A seed does not force itself into the light. It waits for the soil to be ready. The presence does the same. It does not push. It waits until the heart is ready to accept a small brightness. In the waiting, there is trust. Trust grows in the quiet. I suggest a practice as we listen. Find one small point of contact, the palm on the blanket, the heel against the mattress, the coolness at the back of the throat. Let attention settle there like a moth. Bring the inside light to that spot. Imagine the brightness pooling, making the place easier. Hold that picture for 3 slow breaths. In, out, in, out. Let the mind follow the rhythm. The scene from the text also includes the idea of giving witness. Light does not hide. It shows. It lets the contours of things be known. That showing is gentle. It is not an accusation. It is simply revelation. When a hand is held up to the lamp, it becomes visible. The lines of the palm and the map of small scars appear. Nothing is condemned. Everything is seen with care. I keep the words plain. The Gospel's opening frames the world with a presence that brings life and light. It does not demand proof. It offers accompaniment instead. That companionship is enough for this hour. It asks only that the listener receive quietly. The small gift of seeing and being seen can change the edge of a restless night. Think of the people who notice such a light in simple ways. A nurse who pauses by a bedside lamp. A neighbor who leaves a light on when a friend returns late. A parent who hums softly while rocking a child. Each act is small. Each act matters. They are daily signs of a presence at work in ordinary life. They show how the light touches the ordinary and makes it tender. I keep my voice slow, so the brain can follow without strain. The images pile up gently, each one a small step. The mind can rest on one image at a time, It does not need to hold them all. Pick the one that fits tonight. Let it be a doorway into calm. Let it be a lamp at the bedside. Let it be the hush of dawn. The text says the darkness did not overcome the light. That phrase is quiet but strong. It does not mean the night will stop. Night will come as it must. The words mean the light has a way of holding on, even in the deep hours. The presence endures. It is the sure companion for those who wake, those who worry, and those who rest. I invite you to imagine placing one small worry into a tiny vessel, not to throw it away, but to set it beside the lamp. See the light fall on it. The worry does not vanish, but it looks different under the glow. Its edge softens. It becomes manageable. The change is small. It is enough to allow the breath to lengthen. Mercy in this text is like a gentle tending. It is not a sweeping cure. It is a careful making room. It attends to the broken and the weary, with hands that know how to mend small things. A torn sleeve gets a patient stitch. A slow foot gets a steady pace. The presence shows up in such quiet mending. As I paraphrase, I stay close to the beats of the passage. Presence, life, light, persistence. Each word is a small anchor for the night. Say one of them softly in your mind. Let it match your breath. Breathe in the word presence. Breathe out a sense of release. Breathe in life. Breathe out a small settling. Breathe in light. Breathe out a quiet. The scene ends not with a loud finale. It ends with the lamp still burning. The room keeps its simple order. People in the house sleep or wait. The light keeps company. It asks nothing dramatic. It simply stays. This staying is a promise. It assures that even when the mind races, there is a small resting place. I keep this moment brief and tender, because rest benefits from smallness. The truth I read offers a modest comfort. It is not meant to fix every question. It is meant to steady a heart for the night. It is a companion for the hours that follow. Now, let silence come between the words. Let the light we imagine hold the room. Let breathing lengthen. Feel the weight of the day loosening. If eyes are open, let them soften. If closed, imagine the glow near the sternum, warm and calm. Stay with that image for 3 slow breaths. I will move on to another passage in the next segment. For now, keep this simple light in the mind. Let it be a small harbor. Let the night do its work with that light as company. The lamp remains. The presence remains. Rest is near. My hand rests on the book. The lamplight is steady. I stay here with you for a while longer in quiet. When sleep comes, let it come gently. If you continue to listen, return to the image of the lamp. Let it be the last thing that touches the mind before sleep. This is the promise of the beginning, a presence that brings life and light, a lamp that keeps burning, a company that does not leave. When you are ready, let the breath carry you into sleep. If you remain awake, keep the image soft and return to it if worry wakes during the night. The light waits. It does not demand. It simply holds. For now, I close this reading with a slow breath. In out. In, out. Rest. I settle back into the chair. The lamp throws a steady pool of amber across the page. My voice stays soft. My breath remains slow. I tell you that this next part is gentle. It is a small telling about love. It is about a hope that rests like a soft hand. I open the passage in my mind rather than in a loud voice. I do not read a verse out loud. I put it in plain speech. The message I carry is simple. It says the world is loved in a way that looks like giving. It speaks of a gift that is offered, so life can be held again. I keep the words short. Love is not complicated here. It is an action. It comes toward the broken and the weary. It moves into places that feel beyond repair. The action is not a demand. It is a steady offering of care. Imagine a parent on a long night. The house breathes slow. A child wakes. The parent rises without complaint. They go to the child with a blanket, with a small song, with arms that know how to hold. That is the shape of love here. It does not parade. It arrives to make a place of safety. I ask you to breathe with me. Inhale, quiet. Exhale, release. Picture the small movement of hands that soothe. See the way the fingers make room. Feel the calm that follows when someone simply stays. The passage I reflect on speaks of life, given. It does not promise a life without pain. It promises a life held and a life that endures. The gift is offered so that fear does not have the last word. It places a steady trust next to trembling hearts. Think of a night when worry seems very loud. The mind runs through what is lost, what might go wrong. In that noise, this love comes like a low lamp at the foot of the bed. It does not chase away every thought. It makes the space safer. It allows sleep to come in small pieces. There is a tenderness in how the message is presented. It does not shame. It does not make lists of failures. It opens a doorway. Through it walks a promise that presence is stronger than absence. The promise speaks of belonging. It speaks of a place where even the smallest life matters. I invite a quiet act. Find the place where the pulse is easiest to feel. Perhaps at the wrist. Perhaps at the side of the neck. Place a hand there. Gentle but sure. Think of the phrase, life is given. Let the hand rest with that thought. Imagine warmth pooling beneath the palm. Stay there for 3 slow breaths. In, out, in, out. The message rests on a simple choice. It is the choice to accept a small light. This acceptance is not a performance. It is more like opening a window when the room feels stuffy. The air comes in, the room stays the same, but it breathes easier. I say the word hope with care. Hope here is not a sharp brightness. It is a soft ember that keeps its place. It does not require evidence to glow. It stays alive because it is tended. Tending looks like small acts of trust. It looks like letting a thought soften rather than squaring it up for battle. Mercy threads through this scene. Mercy is a hand without accusation. It meets the messy parts of life and stays. When regret tugs at the chest, mercy leans in and holds. It does not fix everything in a moment. It makes a space where healing can begin slowly. I tell this gently because night favors softness. The mind resists heavy demands when the body needs rest. So the story here acts as a pillow for the heart. It invites a letting go that does not feel forced. The letting goes by degrees. Each small release matters. Imagine a small garden after a dry season. One person pour water slowly, drop by drop, into tired soil. The soil does not green overnight. It receives enough. Gradually, life returns. The scene is not dramatic. It is faithful and patient. That is the kind of giving the passage points to. I avoid theological complexity. I do not push explanations. The aim is comfort. The aim is the assurance that someone loves enough to give. The giving carries a promise of continued presence. It is not a once and done. It is a continuing of care. Let us picture faces in ordinary rooms. A neighbor leaves a bowl of soup at a doorstep. A friend listens without trying to fix. A stranger holds a door. These small acts are like echoes of the larger giving. They remind the heart that love often arrives quietly. I guide the breathing into a steady rhythm again. Inhale calm. Hold one quiet beat. Exhale slowly. Let each out-breath carry away a small tension. See the tension lay down like a twig on a path. The path remains. It is clear enough to walk on. The message also offers an invitation. It invites the tired to come and rest. The invitation is not a test. It is a safe place to pause. The wording I use is plain, come as you are. Bring the things that weigh you. Lay them down. Rest for a little while. The rest does not erase the night, but it lightens the load. I imagine a small room with a single chair. Someone sits there for a long time, carrying worry like a coat. Another comes quietly and takes the coat to hang it up. No questions are asked. No judgments made. The person feels lighter. They breathe deeper. That is the tone of the promise. There is a sense of return in this comfort. It is like coming back home after a long journey. The house is not perfect. The cup may be chipped. Still, the main room holds familiar warmth. The heart recognizes being seen. The recognition itself soothes. I keep my voice low because the night answers low voices. The rhythm stays pace with a slow walk. Each sentence lands soft. It is as if each phrase is a footstep toward rest. The pace allows tired minds to follow without strain. In the quiet reflection, I speak about hope as a steady companion. It sits alongside questions, not in front of them. It does not demand an immediate answer. It stays and covers the shoulders like a blanket or a team. The companion makes the room safer for sleep. I avoid pushing doctrine. I speak of belonging in practical terms. Belonging is a place where small things matter. It is where the story of a single life is noticed. It is where the names whispered at night are listened to. Belonging is the simple experience of being found and kept. I ask you to notice one small thing in the room. The coolness of the air at the back of the neck, the way the blanket folds at the knees, the muffled sound of distant traffic. Let attention rest on that detail. Let it be an anchor. Return to it when thoughts wander into agitation. The passage I draw from uses the image of giving life so that it endures. I paraphrase it as a promise that existence is not left to chance. There is provision. there is intention. The act of giving reaches into the ordinary. It touches the mundane. It turns ordinary moments into spaces of care. Mercy and hope mingle here. Mercy is the hand that meets pain. Hope is the small thought that says something better is near. They do not rush. They make room for the slow work of rest. They fold care into the night. I speak now of trust in small terms. Trust is not a great leap for the night. It is a low step. It looks like setting one worry beside the light. It looks like naming one need silently and breathing gently. Trust grows from these little acts. Night makes space for that kind of growth. Think of a lamp left in a window when someone is expected to return late. The light says, "I am here." It offers a marker of welcome. The dark does not make the message less true. The lamp simply keeps burning. Such simple stations of care guide tired feet. I pause and let silence sit between sentences now. Silence is not empty. It cradles the words that came before. It allows them to settle in the chest, in the pause. Let breathing lengthen. Let the body slough off one more layer of tension. The gift described is enough for the night. It does not have to answer every alarm. It offers a presence that steadies. That steadiness changes how the night feels. It makes the darkness less an enemy and more a room that holds rest. I end this passage with a quiet invitation. Bring one small worry to the lamp. Set it down without ceremony. Watch the light fall softly on it. Notice how it shifts under the glow. The worry may not vanish. It becomes less sharp. The heart loosens. Sleep finds an easier path. My hand rests lightly on the book. The room breathes with the lamp. The voice softens further. A promise hangs in the air that the world is loved, that life is given, that hope abides. It is a promise offered gently, not forced. It suits the night. When you are ready, let the body follow the breath. Let the eyelids grow heavier. If rest comes, receive it. If wakefulness lingers, return to the image of the lamp and the small, steady giving. These images are companions for long hours. I will stay a moment more in the quiet. The next part will move slowly into another image. For now, let the thought of being quietly loved sit with you. Let it be the last warm thing before sleep. Let it be a promise to wake to gentle mornings. In, out, in, out. Rest. The lamp remains. The giving remains. The hope remains. The room breathes. The night listens. I turn the page with care. The room stays still. The lamp keeps its low glow. My hand rests on the paper. My voice is soft and measured. I invite a slow, steady breath. In, out, in, out. The passage I hold speaks of a strange closeness. It tells of the word taking on a body. The word moves from distant speech into the small, particular life of a human being. That image is gentle and astounding all at once. It is the great act of coming near. I ask that the mind picture a single scene, a small house by the water, a door that opens without fanfare. Someone steps across the threshold. They carry ordinary hands. Those hands know how to work. Those hands know how to heal a scrape. Those hands know how to lift a bowl. The presence is not high up on a pedestal. It is right where life is lived. Grace looks like this in the story. It is not an abstract truth. It is a touch at the elbow when a person stumbles. It is a quiet eye that meets sorrow without judgment. It is bread broken and shared, without long speeches. The word becoming flesh means the great tenderness of the divine takes ordinary shape. It chooses the things we know food, water, shelter, listening, and dwells there. I speak these lines slowly. Let each small image settle. Imagine being offered a warm blanket on a night that grows cold. The blanket is soft. Its seams are plain. It smells faintly of home. No list of faults is read. No ledger is set before the one who receives it. The blanket is simply placed. That is grace. In the story, the word dwells among us. Dwelling is a slow, intimate verb. It suggests staying for a while. It implies cooking a meal. It suggests the touch of a hand as wounds are washed. It means meeting the small, persistent needs of a day. Grace, when embodied, does not rush. It makes room at a table. It stays for the weather to change. It hears the long stories of loneliness and lets them be told. I invite a simple practice now. Rest a palm over the heart. Keep the pressure light. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold a breath on 2. Breathe out for 6. Each exhale releases a small hardness. Picture the warmth of those hands that heal. Picture the care that takes shape in careful action. This image is meant to steady the breathing and the mind. The word in flesh moves quietly through ordinary streets. It joins neighbors in small exchanges. A helping hand is given to a cart that has stalled. A water jug is carried up steep steps. A child's fever is tended with cool cloths. These acts are not dramatic, but they change the tone of a life. They say, without words, you matter. They teach trust through touch. Mercy threads through every scene. Mercy is not loud here. It leans in and speaks a soft refusal of condemnation. Instead of counting wrongs, mercy tends wounds. It closes a gap between shame and belonging. In the quiet of the night, mercy is a voice that says, come home. It is the patient presence that listens more than it speaks. I shape my sentences small, because small images rest easily against a tired mind. Think of a kitchen table at dusk. Light slants across a worn surface. A family gathers. Nothing ornate is offered. Simple food appears in plain dishes. Conversation lowers. Someone reaches for another's hand. That touch anchors the room. That is grace made visible. The word taking flesh also means vulnerability. To dwell among us is to enter the risk of being misunderstood and hurt. The story does not hide that, yet the decision to come near includes acceptance of the cost. Grace chooses to be vulnerable, so that healing can be possible. That choice itself speaks of a deep kindness. There is a mercy that smells like baking bread. It rises slowly in the oven. It warms the kitchen. No announcement is required. The scent is a quiet invitation. It reaches into corners where fear sits and offers a small, steady comfort. When the word becomes a neighbor who brings bread, shame loosens at the edges. Hunger meets a simple answer. I keep the voice low. The room listens. The breath keeps time. Let this steadying pattern hold the mind. If images drift into worry, gently steer them back to the table. The warm cloth, the hand that lingers a moment longer than needed. These small returns build trust. Forgiveness is part of this embodiment. It often arrives without fanfare. A hand brushes the back of a head. A finger traces the dust on a coat. A word of acceptance is spoken in a tone so soft it hardly registers at first. The heart learns to unclench. Forgiveness in this story is more like a gentle tide than a sudden purge. It reshapes the shore slowly. Encourage a quiet intention now. Name one small thing that sits heavy tonight. Keep it short. Let it be no more than a phrase. Picture placing it on a simple bench. See the presence drawing near. The thing does not disappear. Instead, it is met. A hand covers it. The hand does not pry. It holds. The action changes how the weight feels. This bringing of grace into flesh also grounds hope. When hope dwells in a single, touchable life, it becomes easier to trust. Hope stops being a far-off idea. It becomes a person who shows up with clean water. Hope is a cup lifted across a table. When hope is held in flesh, it touches real hunger and real fear. It answers the small, immediate needs as it keeps larger promises. I avoid heavy words. The story invests in acts more than concepts. It shows mercy in how eyes soften when someone confesses a weary heart. It shows care in the way a cloak is offered without a string attached. These small behaviors teach how grace moves. They are lessons in tenderness rather than lectures in doctrine. The image of dwelling among us invites patience. To live with people is to witness their yearly cycles, their small failures, their moments of courage. Grace that dwells learns to wait without judgment. It tends the stubborn soil of a human life with a steady, unhurried hand. This patience soothes. It lowers the pulse that spikes when expectations press too hard. I speak now of hospitality. The word as flesh opens the door. The invitation is plain, come in. Rest. Eat. It is not an offer to erase difficulty. It is an offer to share a table while the world keeps turning. Hospitality teaches that suffering does not isolate. It shows how warmth can happen in the presence of ache. The simple act of sharing a meal becomes a vessel for mercy. Compassion moves through small gestures. A cup is refilled. A footstool is found. An extra blanket is handed down from a shelf. These tiny mercies accumulate. Over time, they become a language. In that language, the most basic sentences are forgiveness, welcome, patience. The Gospel's telling of the Word made flesh fills this language with life. I lower the volume of my words almost to a whisper now. The room holds the hush. The breath lengthens on its own. Let the attention shift inward a little. Notice the places where the body remembers being held. Perhaps a shoulder that loosened under another's hand. Perhaps the sides of the neck that eased in sleep. Let those moments rise like small lights in the memory. Grace in flesh also brings reconciliation. It is not about erasing differences with a sweep. It is about sitting down and mending. A torn cloth is sewn with care. A scraped knee receives a plaster. A hardened word is softened by steady presence. These acts teach that repair is possible. They remind that belonging can be restored slowly, one careful stitch at a time. I speak of the word becoming flesh as a promise that the holy will come to the mess. The divine chooses not to avoid dirt. It steps into it and sits with it. This bold humility teaches gentleness. It models how to treat our own faults with hands that do not flinch. There is an ease in singing small songs in the dusk. The melody is plain. It has no need to be perfect. The ears listen without expectation. These small songs pass on grace quietly. They hum to a startled heart. They remind of lullabies that once soothed a childhood fear. The word in flesh sings these songs by staying near. I ask for another simple action. Let the jaw unclench. Ease the shoulders downward. Soften the grip of the fingers. With each release, imagine grace folding into the place you let go. It does not demand a long confession or a sudden change. It rests in the space offered and makes it kinder. The narrative wants us to trust daily encounters as means of grace. A neighbor's knock at midnight might bring news or comfort. A friend turning up with a cup of tea is not accidental. These small arrivals are how mercy often travels. They are not ceremonies. They are the quiet happenings of ordinary life shaped by love. As I read, I keep the pace steady. No rush, no argument. The aim is to make the heart ready for rest. The word taking on flesh is a comfort because it proves closeness is possible. The divine does not remain distant in a tower of judgment. It rests at the common table. It walks the dirt by our feet. It leans in close enough to touch. I will leave a space for silence. Now, let the images settle into the chest like small stones placed with care. Let the breath carry them deeper. These are not instructions for a perfect life. They are invitations to notice the small ways. Grace touches the day. Before I close this segment, I offer a gentle vow. I will continue to read and to bring these scenes slowly. The next part will move a little further into how grace speaks. For now, allow the sense of being seen to rest with you. Let the truth that the word took on flesh be a pillow for the heart. It tells us that the sacred chooses the small and the tender. That closeness remains. I lay a hand on the book. The lamp glows dim. The last breath is quiet. Rest comes like a softened blanket. Stay with the image of a person who enters a room, not to judge, but to sit, to heal, to share food, to listen. Keep that image near. Let sleep come to its rhythm. When the eyelids grow heavy, let them fall. If wakefulness remains, return to the picture of the table and the hand that stays. I will be here in the morning, and I will read on with the same soft pace. For tonight, receive this small gift of grace. Let it be the last thing that touches the mind before sleep. The night is quiet. The lamp is low. I open the book and let my finger rest on the page. My voice stays soft. My breath moves slow. Tonight I turn to a simple story about a well. It is a scene of thirst and of water. It is a story about giving and about being received. A woman comes to draw water at noon. The hour is plain and ordinary. She carries a jar. The well sits in a sun-worn place. A stranger sits nearby. He offers water of a different sort. The water he speaks of is not a cup to quench one's thirst and leave the body wanting again. It is described as a kind of spring that wells up from within. It is something that slowly fills. It is something that keeps giving. I do not tell this as argument. I tell it as an image that rests easy at the edge of sleep. The stranger notices the woman without hurry. He meets her where she is. The scene is unexpected. Hatreds and histories sit nearby like dust. Yet the offering crosses those lines. The story here is one of radical acceptance. The woman is seen. Nothing about her past drives the stranger away. Instead, an invitation comes to receive a water that becomes a source. Listen with the quiet of the room. Breathe with me. Inhale slowly. Picture the well's rim cool under the palm. Exhale long and smooth. Picture the jar being lowered down. Imagine the stone edge, smoothed by years of hands. Let the rhythm of the breath match the lowering and lifting of the jar. In, down, out, up. The living water in the story fills more than the mouth. It moves toward the deep places of the heart. It meets long thirsts that ordinary cups cannot touch. Those be so many longing for belonging, longing for pardon, longing to be known. This water is patient. It waits to be asked for. It gives without tallying the cost of a life. It becomes a spring where acceptance grows. Acceptance, in this telling, looks like being allowed to speak without fear. It looks like a person being listened to in the middle of a noisy world. It looks like an ordinary hand, reaching out and holding a jar steady. Imagine that hand. It does not demand an explanation. It offers steadiness. The presence that offers the water meets difficulty without recoil. It accepts the mess and the ache. That acceptance has weight. It eases the shoulders that hold it. Now, let the water image move into the body. Place both hands gently over the belly. Let them rest there with no pressure. Breathe in as if drinking cool water. Feel it slip past the throat. Let it gather in the chest like a small pool. Picture that water pooling in the center of the rib cage. With each out-breath, imagine its spreading warmth. The breath and the image move together. The water loosens the tight places. It opens a narrow room into a fuller one. This acceptance does not erase memory. It does not make the past vanish. The story does not pretend to smooth the sharp edges overnight. Instead, it offers a change in how the edges are held. Regret becomes a stone set in the bottom of a jar. Under the water, the stone weighs nothing like it did on dry land. The jar is not emptied of the stone. It simply holds it differently. That holding is mercy. I ask you to think of one small trouble tonight. Keep it plain. Do not make a list. Choose one. Name it in the quiet of the mind. Imagine placing that small trouble into the jar at the well. Lower the jar slowly. See the water flow around it. Feel the burden lose some of its sharpness when the water covers it. The weight changes. The mind can breathe. There is tenderness in the way the woman in the story is treated. She is not shamed into silence. She is not hurried. Acceptance looks like a long, kind look that stays when many would have looked away. That steady regard makes speaking possible. The right words do not matter. The fact of being heard matters more. This simple practice can be a balm. Tonight, if speech feels heavy, let the silence do its work. Let the well hold the words for a while. Let the water speak where the voice cannot. Water also moves. It finds crevices and slowly smooths them. Imagine a small creek tracing its path across a worn stone. Over years, the stone softens. The changes are slow. They are patient. The story's water flows into stubborn places and does not demand quick fixes. In the same way, acceptance arrives as a steady presence. It does not rush a person into repair. It sits and gives time for healing to begin. If the mind wanders tonight to sharp regrets, return gently to the image of water flowing. Picture a small garden fed by an unseen spring. The roots drink. A leaf uncurls. The scene is quiet and ordinary. Small. Steady care changes the soil. It does not remake the garden in a day. It nurtures. That is the kind of giving the story describes. It is practical. It is humble. It is enough. Listen for the unhurried kindness of the well. The woman's life is complicated. The world around her is harsher than the handful of lowered water. Yet the offering is made without condition. It is a simple hospitality. Hospitality sometimes looks like a cup placed in a hand with no comment. Sometimes it is a chair pulled near. These small gestures shape acceptance into a habit, or team. They make a room more livable. I breathe with slower counts now. Inhale for 5. Hold for a soft pause. Exhale for 7. Let each longer out-breath release a little more tension. If a thought rises, name it and picture it carried to the well. Place it in the jar and watch the water fold over it. The thought need not be solved. It only needs to be tended. This night the well waits. Compassion often travels as a quiet exchange. A stranger at a well becomes a companion. The social burdens that separate people disappear in the presence of shared need. Acceptance dissolves the lines that keep hands apart. Think of one small relational strain. Picture a thin thread between two people. Now imagine water poured along that thread until it softens and becomes rope. The strain does not vanish, but the connection becomes usable again. That gentle reconnection is mercy at work. The living water is also an image of renewal. It gives the possibility of new taste at the tongue. It offers the chance to meet oneself with less harshness. Tonight, when memories press like knotted cords, let the water untangle one knot. Focus on the space between the brows and let it soften. Allow a single exhale to carry away a small tightness. Renewal often begins in these tiny, repeated acts. I avoid heavy words because the night is not the time for weighty debate. The story's force comes in its simplicity. It shows that acceptance is offered freely. It moves us away from accounts and into receiving. The offering is not a reward. It is an opening. That opening makes living easier in the small hours. Imagine the jar now left at the edge of the well. The water keeps coming up. It flows into the ground. It feeds roots that are not yet visible. Imagine a small plant pushing through the earth, green and tender at the base. The plant does nothing dramatic. It simply grows. This image is not grand. It is ordinary. It matches the way hearts change when they are met with gentle acceptance. Take a moment to let the hands relax where they rest. Feel the contact of fabric or the coolness of air. Notice the places that want attention. Offer them a thought of water. Let the breath carry that image deep. If tears come, let them be gentle. They are not failure. They are part of a softening. The well of the story is patient with tears. There is also a sense of being seen that the passage offers. The woman is recognized not as a mistake, but as a person. Recognition does not paraître faute. It acknowledges the whole life with quiet. Tonight, allow the self to be seen in the mind's softest light. Recognize not for the sake of pride, but for the sake of truth. Place one small truth beside the well. Let water wash it gently to the shore. I keep the tone low because rest responds to low tones. The pace is a slow walk. No hurry. No attempt to finish everything tonight. Acceptance is not a checklist. It is a practice. It begins with one small step. It repeats in patient ways. Over the long night, those little steps make a path. Now imagine the well under a moon that is steady and calm. The water's surface is smooth. A slow breeze skims it. The jar sits empty for now, but its presence is a promise. The spring will keep rising. The cup of life is not a single sip. It is an ongoing well that replenishes. Let that thought be a comfort rather than a demand. Before I close this part of the reading, lay a hand over the heart. Feel the pulse. Steady and patient. Think of the living water rising from within. Let it become a steady image to return to if the night stirs. If wakefulness comes, picture the well and the jar and the hand that met, need without a question. Hold that picture gently. I will stay a little while in the silence after this. The room holds the story for now. The lamp is still low. The book rests beneath my hand. The water image remains ready at the edge. When sleep arrives, let it come in its own time. If it does not, return to the well. Let the water do its quiet work. I promise to come back to this book. In the next part, the next scene will carry another image of mercy and care. For tonight, accept the simple gift of the well. Let the thought of being met without demand rest with you. Let it change the rhythm of the breath. Let it make the night easier to hold. In, out. In, out. The well waits. The water keeps rising. Rest now. If you can. If wakefulness stays, let the jar sit beside the heart. The spring will not run dry. Acceptance is near. The lamp is steady. The page glows faint. I keep my voice soft. My breath is slow, and even I tell a new image tonight. It is the image of a shepherd who knows every sheep. Picture a field at dusk. The air is cool and still. Grass leans toward the ground. A simple path winds between low stones. The shepherd walks that path like someone who has known it for years. The steps are calm, measured. The shepherd moves to check on those who wander. The care is quiet and constant. I do not speak from a high chair. I sit with you in the quiet room. We imagine the shepherd together. He is not far, and he is not remote. He knows names. He knows faces. He knows the small marks that give each one away. When a stranger passes, the shepherd does not confuse a neighbor. When a lamb hides in tall grass, the shepherd listens and knows which bleat belongs to whom. There is tenderness in such knowing. When a voice calls a name, something in the heart eases. Think of a small child who hears a parent enter. The shoulders drop, the breath lengthens. Recognition brings rest. Belonging grows from those small moments of being recognized. The shepherd's voice is calm. It does not shout. It calls in a tone that has been used for years. The flock answers, because recognition is older than fear. The voice says, "Come near." And the body agrees without argument. That is the gift of being known. I ask you to breathe with that picture. Inhale quietly. Hold for a beat. Exhale slowly. With each out-breath, imagine a single name forming in the mind. Keep it simple. Just one given name. Perhaps the one used at home. Let it settle like a pebble in the palm. Say the name softly in the mind as you breathe. In, name. Out. Let the sound of recognition be a balm. Being known changes how one rests. In a place where every life is counted, the heart is permitted to be small. The fold holds no need to perform. No ledger sits at the gate. The presence that watches over the sheep tends to them without tallying faults. The result is a room where sleep visits more easily. The shepherd walks ahead of the flock. He opens safe paths. He leads toward grass that is green in a down between hills, and toward water that runs steady. The lead is gentle. The staff guides. It does not shove. It turns aside, dangers without surprise. The path may remain narrow. Shadows may press close. Yet the one who knows the way keeps a hand ready to steady the foot. Imagine a low gate that closes at night. The shepherd locks it with a simple latch. He sits just inside. The gate keeps the wind at bay. It does not promise the road will never grow rough. It promises that the flock rests behind a watchful presence. This sort of protection is not dramatic. It is steady, like a roof that holds rain without fuss. There are worries that say belonging must be earned. The fold tells a different story. Belonging is given before works are tallied. A place at the table appears without long speeches. The shepherd has already counted heads. Each one has a place. That steadiness does not remove difficulty. It changes the posture toward it. A heart that belongs can look at trouble from a quieter chair. Think of a dog that knows the household by smell and sound. The dog waits at the door. It does not need instructions to greet the returning footstep. The home is recognized through small cues. Belonging in the shepherd's care works similarly. Familiarity becomes refuge. The small things tone. Gay, a scar behind an ear, make the difference. There is also the image of searching. A sheep wanders into tall brush. The shepherd counts. notices a gap, and goes. He leaves the flock for a time. He searches through bramble and shadow. The call is soft, patient, never shaming. When the lost one answers, the searcher rejoices quietly. The return is gentle. The wound is tended. The warmth of being found spreads like a blanket over cold shoulders. If a wandering thought comes at night, do not be startled. Picture a hand going out to find it. Imagine the search without judgment. The act of coming back happens slowly sometimes. It needs time. The presence that goes after the lost does not hurry to punish. It hurries to restore. In that quickness of care, the mind learns that being misplaced is not the end of belonging. I invite a small exercise. Close the eyes if that helps. Picture the shepherd kneeling near an animal that is tired. See the hand lift a paw and check it. Notice the tenderness in attention. The heart that watches learns to tend. Let that image press into the muscles that hold tension. Place a hand where it rests easily. Breathe in for 4 counts. Breathe out for 6. Imagine the hand that tends laying warmth into that place. Let the tightness soften under that imagined touch. Trust grows from small returns. The shepherd's patience teaches a slow lesson. Trust is often not a leap, but a string of tiny decisions to stay. A person chooses again and again to hear the familiar voice and to follow. Each small following invites deeper rest. The night becomes less of a trial and more of a folded moment to be softened. Belonging includes being heard. In the fold, noises are not dismissed. A tremor in the throat is noticed. A strange sound in the chest prompts a bent ear. The care that hears without immediate fixing lets words emerge from places that have been shut for a long time. Tonight, name a single small worry in the hush. Place it before your inner ear. Hear it. Do not force a solution. Let it be answered with a welcome presence that listens. The shepherd's hands are patient. That patience looks like mending, not blame. A torn cloth is repaired with steady stitches. A worn coat is set again to use. Gentle repair is practical and unhurried. It does not demand an immediate transformation. It invites slow mending. That is the kind of mercy that fits nightly rest. The fold means companionship in the dark. When wolves prowl or shadows lengthen, the flock is not alone. A presence walks the outer edge. The watch does not end. Because sleep draws near, comfort is not the absence of danger. It is a company that meets it. The night feels less vast when someone known keeps vigil. There is also the voice recognition that helps at dawn. The shepherd's call is a map. Each ear turns to it. If sleep breaks in the middle of the night for worry or memory, return to that familiar call in the mind. Let the sound remind the heart of place and name. The recognition is a small anchor. It does not demand grand proof. It is enough to steady the next breath. Rest in belonging lowers the need for performance. The fold is not a stage. A tired life may be rough at the edges. That is permitted here. The shepherd does not measure worth by polish. Instead, the presence counts the small returns and learns each gate. Oatim, the lived history of a life becomes known. Acceptance grows from that slow inventory of care. I speak softly now of the crook. It is not an instrument of harm. It is a guide. In narrow stretches, the crook nudges an errant lamb back to the path. In stoniplaces, it steadies a stumbling foot. The image is not cruel. It is practical and kindly. Guidance often comes with such small aids. The care that helps is often simple and hands-on. Imagine now, briefly, a quiet hearth where the shepherd rests after the night watch. The lamps are low. Wool is warm and smells faintly of hay. The shepherd sits with a cup of plain drink. There is satisfaction in simple tending done well. That quiet contentment passes into the fold. It settles into the wool and then into the bones of those who rest there. The night becomes less anxious with such steady rhythms nearby. If sleep remains thin, return to one short phrase in the mind. Keep it modest. Perhaps a word like belonging, or steady, or known. Let that word match the cadence of breathing. In, belonging. Out, ease. Repeat 5 times. Allow the rhythm to slow the pulse. Let the chest accept the idea that being known and being cared for are not contradictory. The heart that accepts this is free to rest. There may be times when belonging feels distant. Memories can cloud the sense of being counted. When that happens, picture the shepherd counting again. See the slight pause of rechecking. See the soft smile that registers when a familiar name is found. The belonging offered is not fragile. It persists even when forgotten. The shepherd remembers. Do not be afraid to be small in the fold. Smallness is not failure. It is the soil of growth. The shepherd looks after saplings as carefully as full-grown sheep. Night is a time for such tending. Small mercies become foundations. The slow work of being held transforms what seems brittle into something more resilient. I will stay with this scene a little while longer. I lay down a gentle promise. I will read on, one soft image at a time. The next part will draw another quiet picture from the same book. For now, keep the thought that you are known by name. Keep it as a pillow thought. Let it cushion the head. Let it steady the breath. Before we close this section, place a hand lightly over the heart. Feel its steady beating. Name that beat as a sign of being counted. Breathe in and imagine the shepherd's voice saying your name in a tone that holds. Breathe out and let the world set a little less heavily on the shoulders. The lamp remains low. The room is still. The book rests beneath my hand. The last breath I invite is slow and long. In, name. Out, rest. The shepherd keeps the watch. The fold enfolds. Sleep may come now, or it may come later. Either way, the comfort of belonging stays near. I will be here to read again soon. The lamp is still. The room allows itself to breathe. I sit with the book open, and the page soft beneath my fingers. My voice stays low. Breath comes in slow waves. I tell the next small truth in the same quiet manner. The words I hold tonight are about becoming children. The passage I read speaks of a change that is not merely a label. It speaks of being given a new place. It says that when a person receives the presence described earlier and trusts its name, something shifts. That shift is not sudden noise. It is a steady rearrangement of the heart. It is like a gentle spring that lifts a small boat so the load feels lighter. Think of a seed that has waited through a long winter. The shell cracks, not all at once, but in patient increments. A little green pushes through dark soil. The growth is small at first. It is tender and easily missed. Yet its very movement shows that renewal is underway. Becoming a child in this passage feels like that first push of green. It brings a new direction for the whole life. I speak in simple images because they breathe more easily in the night. One image is of a name given by someone who cares. Names do something to a person. To be named by a kind voice settles the nerves. It says, "I see you clearly." It says, "You belong." When the passage says that one is given the right to be called a child, it points to that small, quiet naming. The name settles like a warm cloth. There is power in this giving, but not of the loud sort. It is an enabling power. It loosens fear a bit at a time. It gives permission to rest from pretending. It allows small acts of honesty without dramatics. In the quiet of the room, I ask the listener to try a short practice. Breathe in slowly for 4 counts, imagining a single soft word entering like a seed. Breathe out for 6 counts, imagining the world releasing a little of its pressure. Repeat 3 times. With each in-breath, picture a tiny newness settling where tightness used to be. Renewal that comes with being called a child also brings a kind of courage. This courage is not meant for battles. It is the courage to be ordinary. It is the bravery to let the hands be imperfect and the voice be small. A child's courage. In the scenes I read, looks like returning to the table even after shame. It looks like asking for help with no great speech. It looks like sitting quietly in a room and allowing care. Belonging changes how one wakes. The mornings after a night of such receiving feel different. The chest opens with a softer rhythm. Tasks remain the same, but the heart tends them with a different ease. Imagine tying a shoelace. The movement is the same. The mind that ties it now does so with the calm sense of someone who is counted among others. This small shift does not fix all things. It helps the next step feel less solitary. I read these texts not to create pressure, but to offer assurance. Renewal is a careful work. It is like a cobbler mending a sole. The work follows a practiced rhythm. Ik stitch matters. Over time, soles hold better for walking. In the same way, small acts of receiving and resting build stamina for the days to come. Mercy lives close to this renewal. When one is called a child, mercy becomes practical. It looks like forgiveness that does not require proof. It looks like the easing of a long internal tally. Imagine a ledger where small faults once sat heavy. Renewal loosens the fingers that cling to that ledger. The balance does not vanish, but its power to define a person softens. This is restful work. It is quiet. It does not argue. It simply changes the weight-bearing. There is also a notion of adoption in the picture. The passage paints. Adoption here is not legalese or a formality. It is relational. It means a new door opens where there was once a wall. That door is modest. It swings on small hinges. It lets in light, and the smell of someone making tea. Through that door, ordinary care enters like a visitor who knows how to remain. The visitor brings no demands. The visitor stays. Trust forms slowly in such a house. It grows from repeated small kindnesses. A cup is refilled. A foot is steadied. A question is listened to without a rush for answers. Those patterns of tenderness build a home in which renewal can deepen. The soul learns that safety is repetitive, not dramatic. It arrives in the same way, each day, in small acts that repeat until their effect becomes habit. I guide the breath again. Place a hand gently over the sternum. Feel the rise and fall. Breathe in and picture a soft cloak being draped there. The cloak is not heavy. It is made of simple cloth. It warms without smothering. With each out-breath, imagine the cloak settling. Let the rhythm teach the body the shape of rest. This image is not meant to remove responsibility. It is meant to mark a place where burdens can be shared. Renewal affects how a person stands before faults. When the heart accepts the right to be called a child, it sometimes finds a strange grace to say sorry without a great drama. Apology becomes a small, honest act. It does not require perfection. It simply reorients the feet. The presence that calls one a child is not threatened by slips. It responds with steady repair. The repairs are patient and thorough, like a slow stitch. Identity changes in a gentle manner. The passage I read frames identity as received, not seized. It is not a thing to be wrestled out of the world. It is placed into a life. The placement changes priorities. It shifts the center away from proving worth toward receiving care. This shift opens sleep to come easier because the mind no longer has to run a scoreboard overnight. There is also the renewing of purpose. Purpose does not arrive as a loud declaration. It comes as small invitations. Do this particular kindness. Speak one calm truth. Sit with another person who is tired. These modest invitations begin to feel like the right compass point. Overnight, they collect into a gentler life path. The work done is not always seen. It leaves faint echoes. But they matter. They become the quiet map one follows. I keep the language simple because the night welcomes simplicity. The renewal described is practical. It changes small daily choices. It informs how one answers the phone late at night, how one prepares a meal, how one rests after a loss. Each small change is an expression of being claimed as a child. The heart learns new rhythms. Another practice may help. Take a breath in and hold an image of a small flame near the chest. This flame is steady. It is not a blaze. It is a lamp set for reading. Imagine it giving enough warmth to one hand. Place a small worry on the palm. Let the flame touch that worry with mercy, not with judgment. Watch its edges soften. Let the worry rest where it is no longer hot enough to burn the mind. Practice this 3 slow times. Let the flame be a private comfort. Renewal also offers a different horizon for fear. Fear does not punish. It still visits in the dark. But its visits change. The mind that is rebuilding identity as a child answers fear with the small, steady presence it has received. It speaks less. perhaps, and receives more. Receiving becomes a counterforce to fear. Receiving is not a passive abdication. It is an active acceptance of support. Compassion toward others blooms from this state. When someone knows they are cared for, they often find the room to extend care. The passage suggests that receiving leads to giving, not because of obligation, but because of overflow. The cup that is filled can pour a small measure into another cup. Acts of care move quietly through rooms. Tea served. A letter written. A hand placed on a shoulder. Smallness becomes the language of love. I avoid heavy claims. I do not promise instant change. The renewal I describe moves like slow water through a stone. Or team. Its effect is evident. New habits form. Old sharpness dulls. The heart learns new ways to breathe. Nights that once felt like battles become simpler rooms in which sleep can come and return. There is also a gentle lesson in dependence here. Being a child in the passage is not an excuse for aimlessness. It is a recognition that life thrives better with help. Dependence is reframed as trust, not weakness. Trust is the quiet muscle that strengthens with use. Each time a small need is met, the muscle grows. It becomes easier to ask again when the night brings its old anxieties. If a restless thought rises now, do not fight it fiercely. Picture it as a pebble in the palm. Place it on a small ledge inside the room of the heart. Let it be near, but not in the hand. Breathe in. Imagine the presence of acceptance entering the room and setting a lamp beside the pebble. Its light reveals that the pebble is not the whole path. It is a part. With the light on, the path forward seems clearer. I keep my voice slow as I close this segment. The promise of renewal rests on a simple receiving. The gift given is not performance, but place. A small house opens where once there was only wandering. A name is spoken. A cloak is laid on tired shoulders. The heart learns to move differently. Before I set the book down for a moment, lay a hand lightly over the heart. Feel its steady beat. Choose one small word to carry belong. Rest or child. Hold the word softly as you breathe. Let it match the rhythm of the chest. In, belong. Out, ease. Repeat until the breath calms. I will come back with another passage soon. The next part will bring another quiet image to hold. For now, allow the thought of being given a gentle place to rest to be your companion. Let the night practice its quiet work, while that newness settles in the chest. The lamp hums its small light. The room breathes. My hand closes the page for tonight. But the picture remains. Rest if you can. If wakefulness stays, return to the seed. The name, the cloak. Let renewal do its slow work. I will be here to read again. The lamp is steady. The page breathes faintly under my hand. My voice keeps low. The room takes its time. The night leans in. I open to a passage about life that reaches past the last breath. The words I speak are gentle. They offer a steady assurance. They invite trust in a purpose that holds beyond endings. I do not read the verse aloud. I put it into simple speech. The message says that life is larger than the small. urgent moment we fear. It says that even where a thing seems finished, life can begin again. This is not a lesson to argue. It is a quiet promise to rest in. Imagine the comfort of knowing a door leads somewhere even when it seems closed. Picture a garden in the dim. The path is narrow. A stone sits by a low tomb. The night air smells of earth and distant herbs. People move with slow steps. Grief is present and honest. In that hush, a word of life moves like a soft hand. It does not erase sorrow. Instead, it meets sorrow and holds it while something new appears. The meeting is gentle. It changes the shape of grief without rushing it. Breathe with me now. Inhale a calm breath. Let it reach the belly. Hold a soft beat. Exhale long, letting the chest loosen. Repeat. Let the out-breath be longer than the in. With each exhale, picture a small light under the ribs. Let that light warm a place that feels heavy. This is not a quick fix. It is an offer for a slow return to ease. The passage points to a strange hope. It says that death does not have the last word. The phrase is quiet, but it lands like a plank across a dark place. It gives a way to step over a gap of fear. This hope is not boastful. It is not loud. It is a calm trust that life, in some mysterious way, continues to work its good, even through endings. Think of a seed buried under winter's snow. The world above looks finished. Silence presses on the soil. Yet inside, life stirs in small, secret ways. Roots shift. A tiny green readies itself. When the time comes, the seed pushes through. The thaw does not command the life to grow. It simply allows the tender process to proceed. The promise in the text is like that seed. It assures that what seems ended can be the beginning of growth. There is also a tenderness about timing. Resurrection in the story is not a spectacle for its own sake. It arrives at the right hour. In its own natural tempo, the timing honors both the deep weight of sorrow and the slow unfolding of life. This steadiness is a gift. It means the world is ordered by a purpose that respects depth. Night is not insulted. Morning is not stolen. Both are held. If sleep feels far, do as more practice. Place the hand over the heart. Feel its steady thud. Call no name out loud. Keep it inward. Picture a calm tide beneath the beat. Each pulse is a quiet sign that life continues. Even when fear says otherwise, breathe in for 5. Hold for 2. Breathe out for 7. Imagine the out-breath carrying a small worry into the wider tide. Let the chest receive the idea that being held is not dependent on perfect answers. Trusting in divine purpose does not mean everything becomes clear. The promise does not resolve every question. Instead, it offers a vantage point. From that view, endings take on a different look. They sit in a frame of care. Things that once felt random begin to sit in a larger pattern. The comfort comes not from solving every mystery, but from the knowledge that a steady will walks beside the unknown. The story in the Gospel shows a friend who knows the pain of weeping. That sight stills the breath. Tears are allowed in that presence. The one who brings life near does not dismiss the tears. Instead, the presence weeps too. This shared sorrow matters. It shows that new life does not trample old grief. It meets it. The meeting teaches that sorrow is not the end of the story. It can be the soil in which deeper life grows. Imagine placing one small sorrow in a bright bowl beside the lamp. Do not bury it or toss it away. Set it down honestly. Watch it. Now imagine a thin thread of light running from the lamp into the bowl. The light does not erase the sorrow. It changes its edges. The shape becomes clearer. The bowl is not empty. The sorrow is held in a different way. That is the kind of change the passage invites. There is also the idea of trust as a daily practice. Trust is not a single heroic leap. It is a series of small acts, each morning that a person breathes in and then lets out a long exhale. That is trust renewed. Each gentle answer to another's need is trust made visible. The life promised in Scripture grows in these small returns. It is patient and willing to be lived out in tiny, ordinary things. Do not feel pressure to fix everything tonight. The night encourages smallness. Begin with one tiny place. Perhaps the jaw that stays tight. Perhaps the back of the neck that holds the day's strain. Bring that place into awareness. Breathe into it slowly. With each exhale, imagine the steady hand of purpose smoothing the tension. The process is gradual. It is enough to start with one small area. The passage also speaks of witness. Those who experience the life that goes beyond endings become quiet witnesses. They do not loudly proclaim victories. They carry a calm assurance in their steps. A person who has felt a tender answer to grief moves differently. Their presence is soft. A simple look can comfort. The witness is not a program. It is a life lived with a subtle steadiness. Tonight, the promise can be taken as a lamp for the short hours. Death is a heavy word. Make it practical and small for the moment. Think of sleep as a small death of the day. The assurance says sleep is not an annihilation. It is temporary rest in a held world. The same trust that meets death also meets the small nightly fades. Let that notion ease the tension that often keeps the eyes open. There are also practical ways to live out this trust. Keep a small list of things that feel like life for you. A single line is enough, one friendly name. A smell. A place. Place the list by the bedside. When the mind goes to worst-case imaginings, look at the list. Let the small facts of life return the heart to steadiness. This is not a trick. It is a habit of trust. Little by little, the habit shifts the nervousness into a quieter posture. Mercy threads through this promise. The idea that life survives death is not an abstraction removed from mercy. It is mercy at work, turning sorrow into something that serves renewal. Mercy does not erase the past. It resituates it in a landscape where new growth is possible. This gives permission to rest. It allows the bones to unclench enough for healing to begin. If grief is close tonight, do not be rushed past it. Sit with the feeling like you would sit with a friend who is awake and hurting. Offer a breath. Offer a small, steady thought. Let the presence of the lamp be a witness. Let the idea that life continues beyond endings be a quiet companion. or team, that companion helps the heart to find a new rhythm. The passage brings a promise that is personal and wide. It speaks to individuals and to the whole world at once. The language in my paraphrase keeps it small and human. The great mystery stays a mystery. The comfort is practical. It reaches into wrists that ache and eyes that stay wet. The tone is merciful rather than forensic. Now turn inward. The hardest stones are often the ones kept for ourselves. Regret, shame, self-reproach, these sit heavy in the palm. They become familiar weights. They shape the posture and the breath. Forgiving oneself feels risky. It can seem like letting go of an anchor that preserves a sense of identity. Yet mercy asks for that small relinquishing. Pick one regret. Keep it to a single seed. Do not catalogue the whole life. Just take one small thing. Feel how the chest tightens around it. Breathe into the tightness. Picture the regret as a stone. Hold it gently in the imagination. Notice the patterns of thought that follow. Name them softly. I should have. I failed. I lost my temper. Let each phrase be brief and quiet. Bring the stone to the ground beside the others. Do not force a showy forgiveness. Do not demand sudden absolution. Imagine a hand, gentle, steady, coming to lift the stone from you and laying it on the earth. The hand is not accusatory. It is caring. It does not make you small. It makes room. The act of laying the stone down is an offering to grace. Forgiveness within does not make the past vanish. It rearranges the heart's hold on that past. The memory remains like a mark in the wood. It is part of the grain, but the muscle that clenched around the memory can relax. The breath can lengthen. Small changes follow. Sleep comes a little easier. Decisions do not have to be fought under the weight of old shame. I guide you now into a brief practice. Settle back. Let the body find its most comfortable place. Place both hands softly on the knees or the belly. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold 1 small count. Breathe out for 6 counts. On the out-breath, imagine a stone sliding from the palms into soft grass. Repeat this cycle 3 times. With each exhale, let 1 small judgment fall away. There is an image I return to when forgiveness feels fragile. Picture a circle of stones gathered around a small fire. The stones mark a space. They do not punish. They hold warmth. When a stone falls into the circle, it becomes part of the shelter that protects the flame. So it is with our burdens when they are offered into mercy. They are not erased, but they are enlisted as part of a careful tending. The story also reminds that mercy comes with patience. Those who lower their stones do not become immune to fresh wounds. People who seek to forgive sometimes stumble and pick up old stones again. That is human and expected. Forgiveness is not a single flawless moment. It is the practice of choosing mercy again and again. The small return to the ground where the stones lie. Mercy asks for compassion. Starting with the self, speak gently to the inner critic. Replace the harsh ledger with a short phrase of recognition. This is hard. This was painful. I am tired. The phrase does not erase responsibility. It simply names the human limit. Responsibility and mercy can coexist. One can acknowledge harm and still release the crushing weight of shame. If the mind wants to argue, let it speak for a moment, and then let the breath lead it back to stillness. A thought that insists on blame tends to make noise. The breath is quieter and steadier. Follow the breath. Let it be more persuasive than the louder parts of the mind. A single long exhale can begin to make a different pattern. An act of forgiveness can sometimes mean setting a boundary. Forgiveness does not always require re-entry into a harmful situation. The story does not promise that trust returns the moment mercy is offered. It promises release. You can forgive and also keep wise limits. Mercy lifts the weight. Discernment sets the path forward. Imagine now a small garden path. Each stone you place down becomes a step you can walk on. The path is gentle and narrow. It leads toward a small gate. Beyond the gate is a lamp and a bench. Sit a while on that bench. Feel the cool of the wood. Let the wind carry the sharp edges of old hurts a fraction further away. The path does not make everything perfect. It makes it walkable. Compassion for others grows in the same practice. When judgment drops, seeing becomes clearer. The eyes do not glaze over with righteous anger. They can meet others with gentleness. That gentleness sometimes brings repair in a quiet way. A soft word, a small reach, a mailed note. These are stitches, not spectacles. They mend slowly. The night is our ally here. Darkness reduces the crowd of intrusive judgments. It narrows the stage to what matters. Now, holding a softer heart at bedtime is an act of courage. It says, I will not carry this weight tonight. I will let mercy visit. Sleep is a small resurrection. Each evening, it needs light hands to come. Return now to the body. Scan from the crown to the soles. Find one place where holding tight is obvious. Perhaps the jaw. Perhaps the shoulders. Put the breath there. Breathe into that place. Breathe out and imagine the stone in your hand shrinking. Let it loosen a little more. Repeat until the spot gives way to a small sigh. Forgiveness also looks like practical acts. If reconciliation is possible and safe, a quiet note or a meeting in a neutral place can be a beginning. If it is not possible, then forgiveness can still be offered in the privacy of prayer or the mind. The story I read opens the door to inner healing even when outer reconciliation waits. Tonight, do not demand the whole work be finished. Let one small thing be released. Choose a single stone and put it down. Watch your hands become lighter. Observe the chest. Unknit just a bit. The change may be small. It is enough for now. The smallness is the pattern the gospel often uses. Great shifts grow out of many small offerings. Forgiveness within also gifts hope. When the habit of mercy takes root, the heart begins to expect newness. Regrets lose some of their power to define. The mind learns a new grammar. Instead of opening every morning with a list of indictments, a softer voice becomes possible. It may say, try again. Rest. Do better tomorrow. The voice is tender, sure, and patient. I will leave a short silence for this image to settle. Breathe in, slowly. Hold briefly. Let the out-breath carry one more stone to the earth. Sit with the light feeling in the chest. If sleep comes, let it come with the small relief of lighter hands. If wakefulness stays, come back to the image of the stones and the lamp. Let mercy be a practice you return to. Before I close this segment, I make a gentle promise. I will continue to read beside you. The next part will carry another soft image from the same book. For now, rest with the thought that judgment can be set down. Forgiveness can be given and received. There is room in the night for that small work. My hand rests on the page. The lamp breathes its low glow. Take one last long inhale. Let it fill the chest with patience. Exhale and release what you can. Allow the hush to hold you. The mercy in this story stays near. It waits for the tired hands to come and lay their stones down. Rest now. If you can, I will read again soon. The lamp stays low. The book opens softly beneath my hand. My voice is quiet. Breath is even. Tonight I turn to an image that rests easy in the ear. It is the picture of a vine and its branches. The scene is small and direct. It speaks of connection. I speak the line slowly. Stay with me. The vine is the life that feeds the branches. The branches are the living parts that reach and bear fruit. Without the vine, the branch cannot thrive. The vine does not shout. It gives sap. It stays close. It is steady. Think of a real vine. Its roots run deep in the soil. Its stem is thick and patient. Tiny tendrils curl around a support. Leaves grow green and soft. Grapes, when they come, hang in quiet clusters. The fruit does not rush. It ripens in warmth and time. That is the picture I bring. It is meant to make the heart slow. We live in a world that prizes doing. The mind learns to push. The hands learn to act. The vine reminds us of another pattern. Some life comes from staying near. Some strength is made by receiving rather than by striving. The branch is useful only when it rests in the vine and lets the sap travel. The truth is simple. Staying close gives nourishment. I invite a short breathing now. Inhale slowly for 4 counts. Let the air fill the belly. Hold 1 gentle beat. Exhale for 6 counts. With each out-breath, imagine sap moving from the root up into a branch. Picture warm nourishment reaching fingertips and leaves. Repeat 3 times. Let the circulation be a quiet rhythm. Let the image sink into the chest. Remain is the action the vine invites. Remain does not mean doing nothing. It means being where the source can give. It is a posture more than a project. The branch does not prove itself by frantic motion. It remains in the place of life and lets the life shape it. That is mercy in slow motion. It is care without demand. Notice how this helps with tiredness. Strain often comes from carrying too many small storms at once. Remaining offers a safe posture. It says, rest near the source and receive. The source does not tally every failure. It offers steady supply. That supply changes how the night feels. It makes the limbs lighter. The vine also speaks of pruning. The gardener comes with a steady knife. The cut is not cruel. It is a careful shaping. Pruning may sting. A branch that is cut back will for a while seem smaller, yet the wound invites new growth. Sap gathers where it is needed. Fruit will have room to come. The act of cutting is part of long-term tending. Imagine a hand that prunes. The hand knows where to trim. It watches for dead wood. It notices shoots that crowd and chafe one another. The cut is precise. It removes what blocks life. The branch may ache a little, then the branch finds new strength. Pain can be part of care. That thought is not cold. It is tender. It says the gardener stays involved. If the thought of pruning worries you, breathe with it. Place one hand lightly over the place that holds tight in the body. Breathe into that spot. Breathe out slowly and imagine the gardener's touch there. Do not press. Imagine warmth spreading across the muscles. Let the idea of being tended without accusation rest over the place. Repeat twice. Let the mind accept that some loss of shape can lead to fuller fruit. The vine and branches share a simple law. Apart from the vine, the branch can do nothing. That sounds stark. It is comforting when heard gently. The phrase, frees the hands from trying to force life where it cannot come. It invites surrender to a reliable supply. This surrender is not weakness. It becomes the place where strength rests between acts. I frame this as an evening practice. Let the body lean into a chair or sink softly into the bed. Close the eyes if that is easy. Imagine a network inside a living vine, threaded through the chest. Roots reach down into cool earth. Sap rises into every small tendril. Notice the parts of the life that feel dry. See the vine sending warmth there. Picture one tiny leaf on a branch. Watch color return to it slowly. The change may be small. It is enough. Fruit follows this remaining. Fruit is not a spectacle. It is gentle. It may be a small kindness offered to another. It may be a quiet patience shown, when impatience is the likely path. Fruit may be a soft word spoken at the right time. The vine does not push fruit. It allows fruit to come naturally when life flows. That is a mercy to the weary heart. There is also a lesson about connection. Branches do not exist in isolation. They are part of a whole. When one branch withers, the vine's work continues elsewhere. The gardener does not abandon the whole for the one piece. The care is wide. It holds the entire plant in patient attention. This broadness comforts when particular parts feel broken. If isolation is heavy tonight, imagine the vine's network under the soil. Each root intertwines. The plants share what they have. A tree can pass moisture to a nearby vine. The image shows that life is often mutual, even when one feels alone. Unseen connections supply what is needed. Let that knowledge be a small anchor. Breathe in for 4. Exhale for 6. Sense the unseen links below. The story of the vine also teaches about trust. Trust is born in repeating the remaining. Each time a branch leans and receives, trust grows. It is not an instant. It arrives as habit. The branch learns the taste of sap. It anticipates the next flow. The mind learns a similar pattern. When the heart rests in regular receiving, it grows more able to bear the night. Hold a brief practice to finish the image. Place a hand over the sternum. Feel the pulse beneath the touch. Imagine a tiny shoot bud there. Breathe in and picture light falling on the bud. Breathe out and see it open one fraction. Do this 4 times. With every breath, let the bud unfurl into a small leaf of calm. Let the hand stay where it rests. Let the heart match the vine's rhythm. There is tenderness in the way a vine bends around its support. It does not demand the support change. It adapts. The branch takes shape by gentle leaning. Life grows in the direction of steadiness. The posture we practice tonight can be the same. Lean toward what keeps you safe. Let the steady presence of God be that support. The lean is a small act. Overnight, it becomes a new stance. When doubts press, remember the gardener's presence. Caretakers watch where life seems thickest and where it seems thinnest. They do not hurry. They are familiar with seasons. They know when to wait and when to act. Let the thought of that care be a quiet comfort. It does not erase questions. It simply rests beside them and helps the heart hold them without collapse. Gentleness to self grows out of this pattern. Do not expect the branch to change its nature overnight. Growth is incremental. A daily returning to receive becomes a rhythm. The smallest acts count. Choosing a slow breath, offering one small kindness, holding a thought of mercy toward the mirror of mistakes. Over time, these small choices knit into a sturdier life. The vine invites community. Branches beside one another do not compare fruit, like competitors. They share space and shade. One branch's abundance does not take from another. The gardener delights in each cluster. Imagine someone tending not to judge, but to help each branch reach its best. There is room for both rest and growth. The pattern is generous. Now bring one small worry to mind. Picture it as a dry twig on a branch. It is visible and not too large. Lower it lightly into the palm of the inner attention. Picture the vine sap flowing toward that twig. See the twig receive the sap and soften. The worry does not vanish now. It becomes less brittle. The chest relaxes a little. Let that be enough for tonight. Reminding the mind of small truths helps at midnight. Truths that ask little effort. The vine gives life. The branch receives. Fruit follows in time. Pruning is care. Remaining is resting. Love tends without tally. These phrases are not chores. They are invitations. Keep them short in the mind. Return to one phrase when thoughts stray. I sit with the book and the room. The lamp still breathes its soft glow. I speak slowly of intention. Tonight's practice is to return to the image when the mind wanders. Do not force it. Simply shift the attention like a gentle hand guiding a child. In, hold. Out, let the vine fill the lung spaces. Let the branch feel the current of warmth. Before I close this segment, lay a hand across the lower ribs. Feel the gentle rise and fall there. Breathe in and imagine roots sinking a little deeper. Breathe out and picture leaves trembling in a calm breeze. Take 3 long, measured breaths. With each out-breath, name one small thing you will let go of until morning. Set it down like a stone and imagine the vine covering it with moss. The stone remains, but it no longer demands to be carried. The night is an ally of gentle practices. Use it. Let the vine and branches be a bedside map. When rest comes, lead it. If wakefulness returns, come back to the vine. Let the image steady the hands. Let it remind the heart to receive rather than to fight. I will read again soon. The next part will bring another quiet image from the same book. For now, hold the word remain in the mind. Let it be a lamp for the small hours. Let the slow work of staying near the source feed the places that ache. Let the gardener's hands be kind. Let the fruit come in its time. One last breath with me. Inhale the image of sap rising. Hold lightly. Exhale the need to prove. Let it fall away. Rest in the living connection. The vine keeps giving. The branch keeps receiving. The night holds the rest. The lamp is low. The book lies open like a quiet friend. My voice is soft. Breath comes slow and even. Tonight, I linger on a simple phrase that feels like a hand placed lightly on the chest. Grace upon grace. The thought is small. It repeats like a steady drip from a spring. Each drop is kindness. Each drop gathers. I do not speak in loud claims. I speak in images meant for the ear. Imagine a shallow bowl at the bedside. Water trickles into it. One tiny stream becomes a steady pour. The bowl never runs dry. It fills, overflows, and the overflow makes a little channel down the table leg. The small channel runs into the floor and finds a crack where moss grows. Life takes hold there. That is how mercy works in this telling. It begins as a drop and becomes a soft, spreading good. Mercy arrives again and again. It is not a scarce coin. It is an open hand. The phrase grace upon grace means the giving renews itself. One gift follows another. The sequence is gentle. It is patient. It does not tally missteps like a harsh ledger. Instead, it offers another small measure. Accepting that measure is permission to be tender with oneself. I invite a breath with each image. Breathe in quietly. Let the chest expand like the shallow bowl taking water. Pause one soft beat. Breathe out and imagine the overflow, gentling the floor. Repeat slowly 3 times. With every cycle, let the room of the mind soften around a single tight place. There is a way mercy gives permission. It eases the grip on old mistakes. It does not erase them. It offers a new posture toward them. Picture a table where you once set down harsh words and clumsy steps. Mercy comes and places a cloth over those items. The table is not empty. The things remain. They sit under the cloth, so they no longer press the hands. The act of covering is kind. It changes how the hands feel. Forgiving another begins in a similar smallness. Think of a stone held in the palm, hot from the day's anger. The hand tenses. Mercy invites the hand to open. The stone is set gently on a bench by the path. No ceremony. No great speech. The bench will be there. The stone will be visible, but not carried. This is an image to return to when thoughts replay old hurt. Place the stone down. Feel the hand relax. Forgiving oneself follows that same path. Begin by naming a single small regret. Keep it plain and brief. Picture placing that regret into a shallow bowl. The bowl sits under a slow spilling cup. The water covers the regret. The edges blur. The regret loses its sharpness in the wet. It does not vanish. It changes shape. Mercy does that. It allows a memory to be held differently. This practice is not magic. It is habit, repeated when the mind insists on the worst account. Let grace come as a steady pouring, or a team. The bowl will collect so often that the water runs out of the rim into the world. Small acts of mercy then touch others. The overflow waters the garden at the porch. Plants lean toward the wet. The sight of green calms the mind. I read from the Gospel, not as a lecture, but as a bedside rhythm. The text suggests abundance. Abundant mercy gives permission to be less brittle. It allows sleep to come without having to fix every list of faults. Let that permission be a small rule you try tonight. Do not demand immediate wholeness. Receive ye simply drop. Let it land somewhere safe. Mercy teaches a gentle timing. It comes in the measure you can hold. A hurried heart does not take well to a sudden flood. It prefers slow streams. So the picture for the hour is patient flow. Imagine a narrow creek, tracing a safe path. It moves around stones. It gathers in shallow pools, where a tired foot might rest. The stream is careful where it meets the tender places. Practice with me a small motion now. Close the eyes if it helps. Place a hand lightly over the place that tends to tighten. Breathe into the palm. Picture a tiny current, finding that spot. See it circle and ease the tightness. Do not expect a dramatic release. Allow a small slackening. That is mercy in work. Mercy is a permission not to be quick with blame. It is a permission to listen more and to judge less. Think of voices in a room that rush to decide. Mercy is the one who sits and holds a cup until the rush subsides. The presence that gives grace does not shout. It waits. That waiting is powerful. It lets words settle and be spoken more kindly. There is an image of a staircase that helps tonight. Each step is a small act of forgiving. Some steps feel easy. Others are narrow and steep. Mercy hands a lantern to the one who climbs. The light does not push the feet. It simply shows the next step. Keep that lantern close. Use it for one small climb at a time. The climb does not have to be finished tonight. When mercy becomes abundant, it changes relationships. Holding the hand of another in their pain becomes easier. One does not need to be perfect to demonstrate care. A soft touch. A good look. A meal left on a doorstep. These small things are language. They say, I see you. They mean, I do not demand that you be different before I come near. This is another way the abundance gives permission to forgive. Tonight, I encourage a tiny practice for relationships. Think of one person whose name rises with a small sting. Keep the thought small. Picture them at a table with a soft cup between both of you. Imagine placing one small act of kindness. There a note. A patient listen. A bowl of soup. Do not plan a great restoration. Simply imagine that small offering. Let it be enough for now. Mercy can also be practical about boundaries. Forgiving does not always mean reopening a door that risks harm. The Gospel's abundant grace suggests both mercy and wisdom. One can set a fence while offering a blessing from behind it. Imagine a gate that closes gently. Mercy rests in the gate's presence. The blessing passes through the bars. The heart remains safe and tender. At once, I speak now of a habit that nourishes mercy. Keep a small jar by the bed. Each night, place one pebble in the jar for one act of grace, given or received that day. The pebble does not have to be large. It can be simply a kindness, seen or accepted. Over days, the jar fills. It becomes visible proof of mercy at work. When the mind leans toward thinking nothing helps, look at the jar and count the small acts. Let the evidence calm the skepticism. The practice of noticing small mercies trains the eye. The mind begins to find them more easily. A neighbor's quiet kindness becomes a sign. A small apology is noted and held. Mercy multiplies when it is noticed. The jar then becomes a mirror for the heart. Its weight does not burden. It steadies. I will speak of confession in a soft way. Confession is a naming of truth, not a public shaming. Saying one short true thing in the quiet can loosen a tight knot inside. Name it without sewing on more labels. A short admission is like removing a splinter. The wound is small. The relief is immediate. Mercy meets the named truth with care. It tends without whispering the worst. If fear of judgment holds the breath, recall the image of overflowing water. The abundance says, more is coming. There will be room for what you bring. The world's ledger is not the final space. Mercy offers a new kind of keeping. It stores not to punish, but to heal. The idea loosens shoulders. There is a kindness in how mercy invites returning. When a person stumbles after trying to forgive or to be forgiven, mercy waits at the path. It does not keep a tally of relapses. The presence simply extends another small hand. Think of a seam ripped by repeated wear. The seam is mended once more. The stitch is steady. That steady stitch is what grace often looks like. Keep the breath slow and steady. Breathe in with the thought grace. Breathe out with the thought receive. Let the words be small and rhythmic. Practice that twice. Let the heart feel the pattern of receiving rather than earning. Abundant mercy is also a permission to rest beneath the weight of expectation. The mind that thinks worth is earned 3 times over grows thin. Mercy places a blanket on weary shoulders. The blanket does not declare the work finished. It offers a pause. In that pause, healing can start. Do not mistake rest for weakness. Rest readies the hands for future care. I offer another simple ritual you can keep. Before sleep, place your hands on the chest and say silently, grace upon grace. Let the phrase fall the way a spoon drops sugar into tea. No drama, no demand, just a small sweetening of the cup. Then breathe out and feel the tongue relax. Do it for 3 nights. Notice any small shift in the quiet areas of thought. Notice too how mercy tends to the body. The places that hold stress respond to kind attention. Let the imagery of flowing water move into the shoulders and the jaw. Imagine a slow fountain at the nape of the neck. See the water pass and take stiffness with it. The body does not surrender immediately, but the first drops change the tone. Abundant mercy reaches also to memory. Memories that once sounded like accusations soften into stories told in a different voice. The voice that once repeated blame becomes quieter. Mercy rewrites the margin notes. The core events remain. The commentary changes from condemnation to learning. That change is gradual and patient. It is enough. I do not promise that all guilt evaporates in one night. I promise only a method of gentle practice. Each small act of receiving and returning mercy becomes a new habit. Habits shape life. They make the heart more ready for sleep. They change waking steps. Also, a person moves through the day less burdened by old weights. There is goodness in repetition. Grace upon grace is a rhythm to set beside the breath. Each time the phrase is remembered, another small tenderness is available. It is like keeping a light lit at the window. The light stays. It calls new attention. Still, it is there when one comes. As I finish this part, let a brief silence settle. Sit with one small regret or one small wound. Do not try to iron it flat. Bring it near in the imagination. Lower it into the shallow bowl. Watch the water rise and cover it. Let the edges blur. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out long. Feel the chest ease. My hand rests on the page. The lamp keeps a soft glow. I will come back with another passage soon. For now, keep the image of the bowl and the steady pour. Let the idea of abundant mercy be a cushion for tonight. If sleep comes, allow it. If wakefulness remains, return to the slow drip and the overflowing bowl. Let the small measures of grace gather and make room. One last gentle breath with me. In, grace. Out, receive. Lay your head where it is most comfortable. Let the mercy that keeps giving be the last thing in the mind before sleep. Rest, knowing the small stream will not run dry. The lamp stays low. The room holds a quiet like a soft cloth. I open the page and keep my finger steady. I speak slowly. Each word lands with space around it. Tonight, I bring a single promise into the hush. It is a promise about hunger and thirst. It is a promise that steadies the restless part of the heart. I do not read the verse aloud as a quotation. I put it into plain speech. The voice in the book says that coming and believing lead to a kind of receiving that never leaves a person wanting. It pictures life fed in a deep, lasting way. The words point to sufficiency. They invite a trust in provision that quiets worry. Picture a simple table. The wood is worn in the center where hands reach for bread. A woman sets down a loaf without fuss. A child settles in and eats until the mouth forms a small smile. The meal is not lavish. It is exactly what is needed. The notion the text offers is like that table. It meets real hunger with steady, plain food. It fills more than the stomach. It fills a place inside where want tends to gather. Breathe with me. In, fill the belly. Hold. Out. Let the out-breath be longer. With each exhale, imagine a small hunger easing. Picture the table before you. The plate is plain. The bread is warm. Take one small imaginary bite. Let the thought of being fed go into the chest and sit there. Stay with that image for 3 slow breaths. The promise is not about abundance in the flashy sense. It is about being held in ongoing care. Think of a baker who wakes early and tends the oven by habit. The loaf is not a one-time miracle. It is a repeated kindness. Morning after morning, the oven gives warmth and the dough becomes bread. The promise that comes from the gospel reads like that practice. Provision arrives again and again. It does not demand proof. It keeps happening. There is a gentleness in the way sufficiency is described. It addresses real needs without a grand parade. It says that the kind of feeding offered goes to the roots of longing. Hunger is not only about empty hands. It is about the ache for meaning, for belonging, for being understood. The type of food the text names nourishes those things too. It fills a deeper hollow by steady presence. Imagine a quiet pantry. Shelves hold jars and loaves wrapped in cloth. Each jar is labeled in a simple hand. The pantry is not overflowing, but it is well ordered. There is always a measure for the table. The thought comforts. It says, someone thinks ahead. Someone keeps watch over what will be needed. Let that thought settle into the chest like a small, warm stone. Trust grows in practice. Trust is not a single leap. It is a series of small returns to the table. Each time a person comes and finds the seat, the trust deepens a little. It becomes easier to let go of anxious calculations. The mind that keeps a careful ledger of every want begins, slowly, to exchange tallies for gratitude. Gratitude is not a demand either. It is a small recognition. It can be practiced quietly at night. Try a short practice with me now. Name one small need in your mind. Keep it simple. It might be rest, a kind word, a gentle morning. Picture placing that need on a plate. Imagine the plate move to the center of the table. Notice how the body responds. Does the jaw ease? Do the shoulders fall? A little breathe in. And let the idea of provision touch that need. Breathe out slowly. Repeat this 3 times. Provision also has a rhythm. It is like water drawn from a well at certain regular time. The pattern itself is comforting. The rhythm assures that life does not depend on one perfect moment. It depends on steady care, given often. The Gospel's promise invites the listener to trust that slow rhythm. It suggests coming again, quietly. When hunger rises and finding the supply ready, there is a humility to this feeding. It does not make a show. It meets the ordinary hunger of an ordinary day. The scene in the text often uses small things bread, a loaf, a meal shared by the sea. Those small gestures hold a deep tenderness. They teach that large change can grow out of small acts of care. Consider the image of a small boat after a long day at sea. Nets sit heavy with fish. The hands that haul them are tired. A small shore meal restores strength. The meal does not pretend to fix the hard weather. It simply makes enough strength to go on. The promise is similar. It does not erase difficulty. It offers enough sustenance to continue in trust. When hunger arrives in the night, it often sounds like worry. The mind rehearses lack in many forms. The promise I read tells a different story. It says that the heart can expect sufficient bread and lasting satisfaction. It asks us to practice the small act of coming That act is a quiet discipline. It is a nightly pilgrimage of return. Do not mistake this for a license to passivity. Being fed invites action that flows from fullness. When one receives, small mercy often follows. A person who is fed can feed others. The table does not keep its blessing only to the one who sits. It becomes a place of giving. This is not a program of works. It is an overflow of care that naturally reaches outward. I guide the breathing again. In. Picture a loaf. Out. Imagine the slice being shared. Repeat. Each breath pairs with a simple image of provision. The repetition reorients the mind away from scarcity. It teaches a posture of receiving and then sharing. Keep this practice if wakefulness returns in the night. The promise is also an invitation to trust in the presence that provides. Trust grows when trust is met. Coming to the table is a vulnerable act. It asks the person to set aside suspicion and believe in the possibility of being seen. The one who offers the bread is steady. The offering is not conditional on performance. It meets real need as it is. That steadiness eases the weary heart. There is a quiet dignity in being allowed to come, as one is. Image, a child returning from a long day with scraped knees. The parent does not demand a report. They wash the knees. They bring a bowl of simple broth. The act says the child matters regardless of success. The promise talks about receiving that kind of care on a deeper scale. It offers belonging before worthiness is proven. Sometimes thirst is not visible. It hides behind accomplishments and lists. A person may be surrounded by many things, yet feel a deep lack. The promise names the inner thirst. It offers a spring rather than a cup. A spring suggests continuous flow. A cup can be emptied again. The spring keeps rising. Let that image sink in, like cool water into dry ground. Place a hand lightly over the lower ribs. Breathe into that space. Imagine a spring rising there. With each breath, see the water lift a little. Let the mind rest on the thought that needs do not always have to be solved at once. Some needs find their answer in ongoing care. Trust the slow rising. Let it calm the rush to fix everything tonight. There is also comfort in small repetition. Saying one short sentence to oneself in the dark can steady the nerves. A phrase without drama. A thought like this provision comes. Repeat it softly with the breath. Inhale provision. Exhale comes. Let the rhythm be steady. Do this 3 times. The repetition makes the promise less theoretical and more practical. If a night is marked by fear of too little, remember the many little instances of care that arrive without fanfare. A friend who brings a cup of tea. A neighbor who leaves bread. A hand that steadies another at a door. These are small evidences that the promise works in ordinary ways. They soften the mind that tends toward catastrophe. This promise also invites patience. Some hungers are slow to be satisfied. Healing takes time. The text does not demand instant fullness. Instead, it offers a long-term pattern of feeding. That long view is merciful. It permits slow change. It makes room for rest along the way. If regret presses tonight, set it beside the plate on the table of the imagination. Do not try to eat it or erase it. Place the regret gently and keep breathing. Let the act of coming to the table be a small surrender to the steady supply The regret does not vanish immediately. It sits differently when it is not carried alone. I will keep my voice steady for a few moments. Let the hand that holds the book rest. Let the breathing slow to a natural pace. If eyes are open, soften them. If closed, hold the image of the table and the spring like a small island of calm. Before I close this part, I offer a small invitation. Choose one tiny, practical need for tomorrow. Keep it modest. Maybe a simple walk, a cup of tea, a conversation. Put that need on the plate in the mind. Picture it being met. Let the image be a soft rehearsal for trust. I will turn next to another scene. It will speak of repair and return. It will show how the life of the heart can be made new in small, patient ways. For now, let the thought of being fed settle into the chest. Let it steady the breath. If sleep comes, receive it. If wakefulness remains, return to the picture of a steady table and the spring that keeps rising. My hand rests upon the page. The lamp keeps its low glow. The voice remains quiet. Rest here a little longer. Come again to this table when hunger stirs. Trust the promise that provision is enough. I invite one more practice, this time for forgiveness and for peace. Think of one small stone you have kept in the hand. It may be a regret or an old sharp word. Picture yourself lowering that stone to the ground. Do not force a grand absolution. Lay the stone down gently and step back. Feel the hands becoming lighter by one measure. Let the breath lengthen. Repeat if necessary. The practice is not perfection. It is a habit of small releases. Before I close, I place the quiet thought of thanks into the room again. Thank the small things, the lamp that burns, the page that rustles, the breath that comes steady, the presence that does not leave. Allow a sense of gratitude to gather like soft light at the sternum. Let it warm one small place where you carry cold. I will make a small promise. I will return to this book and these images. I will keep my voice slow. I will continue to offer gentle pictures that rest the mind. For now, allow sleep to come if it will. If wakefulness holds you, return to the lamp at the porch. The well's cool water, the vine's steady sap. Let one image be a companion through the hours, a brief blessing for the night. May the small light we have held take its seat beside you when you close your eyes. May the mercy we heard tonight make a small path for your breath. May the quiet presence be real enough to lower one burden. May hope be as slow. Steady lamp on your bedside table. I stay still a moment longer. The book is closed softly. The lamp keeps a low glow. If you sleep now, let it be gentle. If you remain awake, let the rhythm of these images repeat in the chest and slow the mind. I will be here again to read and to rest with you. One last breath together. In, hold, out, release, rest. Goodbye for now. I will see you again soon. I sit very still. The lamp breathes a soft light. My hands rest on the cover of the book. The room around us is patient. The hour leans towards sleep. I have come to the last part of our time together. I do not rush. I offer a final keeping of the images we have shared. We have walked many quiet paths. Each image has been a touchstone. Each picture is small enough to hold in one palm. Tonight I fold them into a single, gentle keeping. I do this not to tidy every worry. I do this to make a soft place for the chest to land. Begin by finding the body where it rests. Make a small shift, if needed. Let the limbs unfold. Let the feet point the way they wish. Allow the face to soften. No long effort, just a small easing. I ask the breath to come and be helpful. Breathe in slowly, like water moving into a glass. Hold one soft beat. Breathe out longer, like a slow tide leaving the shore. With each out-breath, imagine the day letting go of a fraction of its weight. Keep this for a few cycles. Let the rhythm be a steady friend. Now move the attention through the body. Slowly, notice the soles of the feet. Picture a quiet warmth spreading there. Imagine the weight of the day melting into the mattress. Let the warmth climb the ankles and rest behind the knees. No hurry. Let the breath follow this motion. The hips and the low back may hold more. Breathe into those places. Each exhale invites a little more slack. Picture a hand of calm laying there, smoothing tension like cloth. Let the shoulders unhook from carried burdens. Allow the arms to go loose. The jaw may be tight. Let the mouth part slightly. Give the tongue permission to relax in the teeth. Bring the breath to the chest. Feel the slow rise and fall. With each in-breath, imagine a quiet light settling at the sternum. With each out-breath, let the light widen into a steady warmth. This light is not bright or demanding. It is a small lantern that finds the creases where soreness lives and warms them enough that they begin to soften. As the body eases, let the mind rest on one small image from our journey tonight. Pick the one that fits the mood of the moment. It might be the lamp at the porch. It might be the well and its steady water. It might be the shepherd who knows a name. Hold that image with the same care you would hold a cup of tea. Do not analyze it. Let it sit like a single pebble in a quiet stream. Watch the water flow around it. I will guide a brief moment of gratitude now. Choose one modest thing from today. Keep it tiny. A warm cup. A kind glance. A quiet moment when your hands were still. Name it in the mind and let it glow there like a small candle. Breathe in and let the glow touch the ribs. Breathe out and let a soft smile arrive without effort. If grief presses, I do not ask you to pretend it is gone. Instead, let grief be a guest brought to the table. Place it across from you. Offer it a cup. You do not have to fix it tonight. Simply sit beside it. Let the presence we have read about sit with both of you. Notice how presence changes the weight, even when sorrow remains. If angry thoughts crowd the hours, picture stones placed at your feet. One by one, lay them down. Do not try to move mountain burdens in a single breath. Choose one stone tonight. Place it on the ground. Feel the palm open. Watch the hand become lighter by one measure. This small act is permission to rest from carrying, all at once, I speak of mercy now, not as an idea to debate, but as a hand that reaches. Mercy in our hearing looks like patience. It looks like steady care. It leans in without a ledger. Imagine that hand upon your shoulder. Let it be a companion as sleep comes. Let its presence be enough to slow the pulse. Before sleep, I offer a short prayer in the hush. It is simple. I ask for calm to come into the places that ache. I ask for gentleness toward the thoughts that judge. I ask that hope be allowed to rest like a small lamp on the bedside table. This is a prayer of quiet asking, not a demand. It makes room for rest. If wakefulness finds you in the night, return to the breath. Name one small mercy and breathe with it. Think of the light at the porch, the taste of cool well water, the feel of a shepherd's hand. Let that image be a doorway back to calm. You do not have to solve anything in those moments. You can simply tend one small breath. I also invite a very short act of sharing. If the quietness here has touched you, consider telling one other person about a small comfort you found. Say it simply. Pass along the picture that steadied you. The stories we share have a way of carrying light into another room. They do not have to be loud or long. A single sentence offered kindly can reach a heart that sits awake. The gospel I read is gentle in its telling. It chooses images from ordinary life to show mercy. It points to bread and water, to lamps and doors, to hands that mend. These things are not grand in the way the world often counts grandeur. They are tender in a way that fits the night. They do not ask proof. They offer care. Hold that pattern as your small rule. Receive where you can, and give small acts where you are able. If the heart feels burdened by large questions, make them small enough for the bedside. Ask for one piece of clarity. Ask for one small item of courage. The rest may come later. Some answers unfold like dawn, not like sudden fireworks. Let dawn's pace be a teacher in the night. Trust that slow growth is real growth. I remain with you in this time. My voice will return to this room. Again and again, I will read slowly. I will choose images that rest the mind and steady the bones. If you cannot sleep, come back to these pages in your mind. Let the patterns of breath and image be a refuge you can visit at any hour. There is a final blessing I lay down in silence. May you be held by a presence that knows the shape of your life. May kindness greet you when the mind spins. May mercy meet your regrets and make them lighter to carry. May hope sit like a small lamp at your bedside. May peace do the careful work of mending without hurry. Before we part, take one more slow breath together. Inhale and let the lungs fill calm. Hold a soft beat. Exhale and imagine the breath smoothing the edges of thought. Let the final exhale be longer than the rest. Let it carry with it one small thing you no longer need to carry alone. If you wake and the night feels heavy, do not hesitate to reach for these images again. A single remembered lamp, a single sip of living water, a single name called by a shepherd. These are enough to steady a wobbling heart. Use them like a small map. Follow one step at a time. I close this book for now. The lamp dims in my hand. My voice softens to nearly nothing. My final promise is this. I will come again with the same calm pace. I will read so that the words have room to breathe. I will choose images that rest, that heal, that invite the heart to trust small kindnesses. Go now into the night with a gentle care. Let your breathing be your companion. Let one small image stay near as you drift. If sleep comes, let it be tender. If wakefulness remains, return here with a slow breath and a single remembered mercy. Carry no great guilt tonight. Carry instead a small hope. May the night keep you safe. May the quiet be rich with mercy. May the light we have shared rest beside your heart. When morning comes, it will be with small gifts. Receive them. If you feel moved, tell one other person about a single comfort you found. Share that small light. Let it travel. One last breath together. In, hold, out, release, rest now. I will see you again soon.